The funding for this video is provided by the amazing members of my Patreon. Also contributions from viewers like you. Thank you. Yeah, I started from PBS Kids. What you gonna do? Fight me? Anyway, roll the video. This is my beautiful friend Tashana. She's an actor, photographer, and an overall storyteller. She loves theater. And it's funny because how me and her became friends in the first place is because she liked Descendants just as much as me. I'm never gonna stop talking about her no matter how much it annoys people. I want everyone to know how great she is. In 2023, Tashana passed away at the age of 26. I and plenty of others were devastated because we loved her, but it's also tragic for someone in their 20s to pass away. Usually when someone under the age of 50 dies, it's considered dying young. You see how death is viewed differently when it comes to how old the person is? Around the time of Tashana's death, I posted a video about how I loved the film 13 Going on 30 when I was a teenager and how that movie had been looking forward to turning 30. I was a bit annoyed, but mostly disappointed by the comment section being filled with comments from people about how they don't want to get older, which made me uncomfortable because Tashana didn't get the opportunity to be older than 26. Tashana did not live to see 30. One day when I was 22 and at work, I had someone call me old and I clapped back at them as soon as possible because 22 isn't old at all. That's literally how old Aaliyah was when she passed away, and everyone says she died young. As the last few years of my life have been filled with so much grief, I have been watching shows that make me laugh. And one of these shows is The Golden Girls. I watched The Golden Girls in high school, but revisiting the show in the last few years, I found a new appreciation for it because of how the series portrays aging. Because of Gen Z's negative views on aging and simply being rude to anyone slightly older than them, I think they can learn a lot from watching The Golden Girls. Okay, so I think one of the worst takes I have heard within the last few years is that 25 is old. Y'all don't know what old is. Hey y'all, it's Harriana. I'm back with another video. Hi, hello, how are you doing? My name is Harriana. Welcome to and welcome back to The Pirate Ship, also known as Harry Hook's Pirate Ship. I'm the captain. You are not my first mate. I'm not the first mate because you want to know why. Bring your ear closer to the speaker so you can hear me clearly. No one's worthy of being the first mate. But hi, hello, how are you doing? My name is Harriana, and I like to make content based on nostalgia and family and children's entertainment and all the issues that I find within those spaces. What was that? Today I am just going to sit here and talk about Gen Z's ageism problem and numerous other things that have to do with that and why I think they could benefit from watching the series called The Golden Girls. Plenty of Gen Z are familiar with The Golden Girls because there's a whole bunch of jokes that go on with it on social media, but I also remember that The Amazing World of Gumball had a Golden Girls episode. Now that episode more so had to do with Richard and his gender and all of that jazz. I actually really like that episode, I'm not gonna lie, but I feel like it didn't exactly capture like what was so special about the Golden Girls, and I'm going to sit here and talk about that today. What gave me the inspiration to make this video is this one quote that I wrote in me and my friend Amaya Janelle, our new book, Do Not Call Me Sis, and it is the essay called You Can't Handle a MILF, which handles the subject of ageism, not just like within fandom spaces, but also in the entertainment industry just as well. I'm going to read you guys one of those quotes and we will come back with today's video. Beauty isn't limited to one thing, and I think we as a society have a minimal view of what we allow ourselves to think is pretty, along with what we consider to be desirable. And I'll be a dickhead for a moment. It's apparent people who speak so negatively about aging probably have never watched The Golden Girls, a series about the lives of elderly women who challenges the stereotypes of the elderly. Now, what exactly is The Golden Girls? The Golden Girls is a show about elderly women. 3 are in their 50s, 1 is in their 70s, and it's about them living together in Miami, Florida. They are all single at the beginning, where they're divorced, widowed, and for the most part, it's like Girlfriends. Y'all y'all know I love Girlfriends, and I consider Girlfriends to low-key just be like the Black Sex and the City. It's like that, but with much older women, because we get to see them go to the club. Yes, they be going to the club on the Golden Girls. They be going out dancing. They date around. They go out to restaurants. They go on fun little wacky adventures. But it is a nice sitcom. There are some aspects about it that didn't age well, so let's just go ahead and put that out there. It's funny, it's hilarious, it's sad. There will be moments that make you cry. They also talk about the subject of aging. They also talk about the subject of grief. But for the most part, I love the Golden Girls because it is a show that I think is very revolutionary. Not to in the time period of when it came out, but how it is now. Because now that I think about it, there isn't another series that is equivalent to the Golden Girls. Like, yeah, we are starting to see more and more movies and shows of material about older women and them wanting to live life and have fun, but then a lot of those books are just kind of like book clubs about women liking horny books, which is nothing wrong with that, but we need a little bit more variety. There ain't nothing else out here like the Golden Girls. And as I'm sitting here discussing this show, there are some other things regarding ageism and how I think Gen Z can benefit from it that I want to bring up. And one has to do with a television series, and another has to do with the subculture that I am a part of that gets more and more irritating as the days go along. Okay, first, we need to talk about Claudia. So, I find it very interesting how a lot of Gen Z have gotten into Anne Rice's Interview with the Vampire, but they slowly don't fully understand the purpose of Claudia's character. I think it might have to do with the fact that Claudia is portrayed to be older than she originally was, because in the book, Claudia is 5 years old. In the movie, Claudia is probably 10 or 11. And in the series, Claudia is 14. So this is the oldest that Claudia is. Even though she's technically a teenager, Claudia is still a child. Honestly, the entirety of Claudia's character is a tragedy. I feel like almost every character that is a vampire in Interview with the Vampire is a tragedy. But for the most part, she is portrayed to be Louise and Lestat's air quote daughter. Even though I feel like only one of them really took care of her, and that was Louise. But Louise is low-key full of shit too. By the way, I have only read the first book of Enter with the Vampire. I'm currently reading The Vampire Lestat, so I am just going based on my knowledge of the first book and the television series. I have not seen the movie, but for the most part, I feel like all of Claudia's character all have like the same element when it comes to her, and that has to be showing how I know a lot of us sit here and we talk about how we never want to grow up and we never want to get older and we want to stay young forever and this and that and the third. But Claudia's character is straight up saying, be careful what you wish for because this shit low-key terrible.
Claudia's character is inherently tragic. Even before getting turned into a vampire, her mortal life was one of rejection and abandonment. Afterwards, not only was she trapped in her child body forever, she was an unwanted child again.
And I try not to get too hard on Gen Z because I technically am Gen Z, but the older part of it, I try to give them a little grace when it comes to their problems with ageism, but it's getting to the point where they don't seem to understand that you do know that you're gonna get older too. You do know that you're gonna be 25 at some point. You do know you're gonna be 30. You do know you're eventually gonna be 40. Because if you don't hit that age, guess what happened to you? You died. And in the beginning, things with Claudia seem to be okay. She just seems to be fun, nice, happy. But the more and more time passes, Claudia becomes more and more terrifying. And that has to do with the fact that she is irritated that she cannot get older. She is annoyed with it. She's annoyed with the fact that her body won't change. She's annoyed at the fact that she is forever seen as a kid to everybody around her, regardless of how much time passes. And I know a lot of people like to talk about oh, Claudia is sad about the fact that she's not going to be able to have a partner her own age. She's not going to be able to date. She's not going to be able to this and that and the third. And I remember that there's a rule in when it comes to vampire codes and all of that, specifically in vampires in the Interview with the Vampire universe, that they're not really supposed to turn vampires that are 18 or older, and that has to do with the fact that they need to already be an adult so they can experience adulthood. But Claudia, that's his fault. It is very interesting to talk about the newest version of Interview with the Vampire, where Claudia is 14, opposed to how in the book when she's like 5 or 6, and in the other movie where she's like 10 or 11, that we do get to see her date. That's not like a thing that doesn't happen. Teenagers date, 14-year-olds do date, but we do see the reality of it all for her, where she realizes like, ooh, this is not going to work out because I'm going to stay this age forever while this partner gets older and older and older. But I notice when a lot of these discussions come with Claudia, so much of her being frustrated with being 14 forever is people just going on and on, oh, she's not going to be able to find a partner. And I'm like, I get that that is one frustration that she has, but also, let's be honest, she don't really got no rights. Like, there's really not much that you can do at that age. Like, that's one thing I be telling people about, how it is a blessing to get older. And also, when I was a kid, I was so ready to be grown, because you kind of have no rights when you're like 14. You can't really get a job pretty much anywhere. There are some places that do hire at that age, but pretty much everyone wants to push you around because of how young you are. You kind of don't have the right to go into certain places. You can't really go to places alone either, especially at night. Being that young is actually frustrating. You don't necessarily get a lot of rights until you turn 18 years old. And even then, like with 18, you're still limited on certain things you can do, because there are a lot of establishments that don't allow anybody under the age of 21 in the door. And even then, you're still limited on so much that you can do, especially when it comes to work. Because you don't really have that much life experience, air quote, work experience too, just as well, it's low-key difficult to get a job anywhere else just as well. Like, oh my gosh, like that sounds so miserable. And I have so much sympathy for Claudia in all versions of her story, because it's just so irritating to be stuck at something and feel like there's no way out of it. And when I say she wants to grow older, I think she at least wanted to be like in her 20s or in her 30s like Louis and Lestat. Because it's not necessarily about Claudia wanting to have romance and wanting to date. It had a lot to do with the fact that Claudia really wanted freedom, and she wasn't able to get that. I think more people need to come to the conclusion that Claudia's character represents not being able to do much of anything, and how frustrating that can be. Like, I don't want to get too much into like my personal life, but because of what was going on with me and having to take care of my mother when I was like 18, 19, 20, and even 21, it was irritating how I low-key kind of felt like I didn't have many rights, because I was just stuck at home taking care of my mom. I couldn't really go out with my friends that much. I couldn't go out and do this and that and the third. I had a hard time keeping a stable job because I constantly had to be home taking care of my mom. Like, I understand the frustration of it all, where you want to grow up, you want to expand, you want to do this, you want to do that, you basically just want to grow up, but you feel like you cannot, because of something that is completely out of your control. And people be like, well, you didn't have to stay to take care of your mother, you didn't have to do this and that and the third. I could have just straight up and left, but did I? Like, was that the right thing to do? No. But I just have a lot of sympathy for Claudia, because I really understand that aspect where you desperately want to grow up and move and do other things with your life, but you can't because of something that you really just is out of your control. And I know a lot of people feel the same way too, where people have to like be stuck taking care of their parents. They're like in situations where they just simply can't get away with them, and it has a hard time, like, you know, getting older. I feel like a lot of people who did have helicopter parents can't understand this too just as well. It's frustrating. Like I said, Claudia's character is a tragedy. The next point I want to talk about when it comes to like Gen Z's ageism problem, we need to talk about who is allowed to cosplay now, because allegedly if you over the age of 20 you can't cosplay.
Bitch, shut up. Ain't nobody asked you shit. Trying to tell me what my life is. I am happy.
I don't know where this notion came from. I don't know who started this, but there have been more and more discourse coming up in the online sphere about who can cosplay and who can't. And everyone, and by everyone I'm pretty sure people under the age of 20 are saying that like once you turn 20 you have to age out of this hobby at some point and then move on and just stop doing it. And I think a lot of y'all who are saying this need to go do some research on fandom history. Like, please go look up the history of fandoms. You will see that the fucking Star Trek fandom, those women were like in their 30s and 40s. You look at old pictures of conventions, a lot of those cons, plenty of the people were older. But also, as we're talking about the history of fandom, guess what? If it weren't for older people in the cosplay community, y'all would have nowhere to go. Y'all will have nowhere to wear your fucking cosplays to. Like, when it comes to ageism in the cosplay community, it doesn't make any sense to me, because I feel like a lot of the best costumes I have seen have come from older cosplayers, and that has to do with the fact that they have been practicing the craft for years, so they've been able to improve along the years. I'm gonna be honest, all my teen cosplays were shit. They all look terrible. I had fun doing them, but they look terrible, and I have gotten much better at the hobby. Even when it comes to skill, I also think people need to understand that no one under the age of 25 is like, you know, planning our events. Most of them are not planning our events. Like, they might be hosting like the cosplay meetup at the park for free, but I'm talking about when it comes to these actual conventions, when it comes to a lot of these cosplay meetups that are at these establishments, the people that are in charge of our events, the people that are in charge of the raves and the parties and the conventions, the workshops, a lot of the panels, plenty of them are older. There would be no cosplay community if it weren't for older cosplayers. I don't know. I feel like fandom is getting worse and worse as the days goes on, because more and more people are complaining about cringe. And now y'all are saying that people over the age of 20 cosplaying is cringe. Y'all are boring. At this point, I'm really starting to think y'all are really boring. Like, I remember I saw this video on Instagram with this girl talking about unpopular opinion, but you know people in fandom are boring as hell. And I was like, they are. Because I was like, y'all are finding problems with things that aren't an issue. Like, yeah, we do have problems in the cosplay community. Yes, I talk often about the problems we have in the cosplay community. Watch that 2-hour long video I made talking about the issues that we have in this damn space, okay? Like, this community isn't perfect, but y'all over here saying that we are not allowed to be in this space now. I'm like, there is no space without the older cosplayers. Like, I understand safety, I understand concerns, and there are things that we need to improve upon when it comes to that. By the way, there are a lot of events that go on at conventions that are strictly for 21 and older. What? Like, why are you trying to drive away the community that literally does everything for you? Like, even when it comes to buying like, you know, the ready-to-made cosplays that you buy, who do you think made that? Who do you think made that? It was somebody much older than you, probably. Like, I understand safety. I understand the concerns about that. Like, let's not. But I was like, we can have both discussions about how, yes, we need to improve upon safety when it comes to this cosplay community. Because I have spoken up about how the cosplay community does have an underage drinking problems. But also, I think we need to sit here and talk about how y'all are becoming extremely ageist towards every single last person that is in this space. And this is why, like, my conclusion is like, why I really think that Gen Z could benefit from watching the Golden Girls. But I say they need to watch the Golden Girls. I try not to, like I said, at the end of the day, you can make your own choices. This is your life. You're allowed to do what the fuck you want to do. But I really think that this is a show that y'all will not only enjoy, but it is also a show that y'all can learn a lot from. Even though I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of the movie X, you know, the X film series that starts with X and then Pearl and then Maxine, there is something regarding X that I think has a lot to do with the Golden Girls. Not a lot, but it's a certain aspect of it. So the character Pearl, while she is an elderly woman, she still does have a sex drive and does desire to have sex with her husband. Yes, older women. especially women over the age of 30, have sex. Like, for some reason, people think that when you get to a certain point in your life, they think when you hit like 30, you shrivel up into a raisin. Like, no. And the reason why that one scene in Pearl seemed to feel a bit taboo to all of us is because it's not something that people really discuss. Like, yes, elderly people still be having sex. And that is like one aspect of the Golden Girls that a lot of people were very surprised to see was put in there, but it was often handled very well, and it was actually really funny.
Television is always several steps behind life. When do you see passionate older people on television? Susan Harris told the New York Times in 1985 interview shortly after the show's premiere, "There is life after 50. People can be attractive, energetic, have romances. When do you see people of this age in bed together? Eventually on this show, you will." It's kind of pathetic that this shows television's baby step.
And it's beyond like the dating aspect of the Golden Girls, but it really is showing how there is just so much life to live beyond, like, you know, your 20s, and I even say like your 30s. There's so much life to live beyond your teen years, because I remember people would sit here and say like, oh, your teen years are like the best years of your life, you're gonna look back on them and be sad that you don't have them anymore. Bitch, I don't want to be a teenager ever again. I hated all of those years. You can't pay me to relive those years ever again. I even talked about it in this book, how you cannot pay me to relive my teenhood ever. No, there are aspects of it that didn't age well, but for the most part, it's a very wholesome show. It's freaking hilarious. Like, I know a lot of people talk about how Betty White is one of those old white women that we actually love. She's so funny in this show. I love Blanche, by the way. Blanche is like the Georgia Peach of the series. Sophia be getting on my nerves sometimes because some of the stuff that she says is like really out of pocket. And Dorothy be so mean. Dorothy be so freaking mean, but like, the Golden Girls is a show that just holds a special place in my heart, and mainly because I started watching the show when I was a teenager, and it really did help me have a different outlook on not even just like being older, like in my 50s and 60s and even in my 70s, but it just gave me a different outlook on aging, because you realize that there is just so much to live for. There is just so much to experience with life, because we see like the Golden Girls, all of them at the beginning of the show are single older women. 3 of them are in their 50s, 1 is in their 70s, and the 70s one is the mother to one of the ones in the 50s. Sophia is the mother of Dorothy. But we see that they still want to go out and have fun and go out on adventures. Like, they know that people are going to start treating them differently because they are older, but that's not going to stop them for, you know, living for themselves. Like, I love the show. I really do think that Gen Z can watch this. I think the subject of Gen Z's ageism problem has just been bothering me so much more lately, because like I said in the beginning, one of my good friends, like one of my close friends, passed away at 26. That is so young to die. She didn't even live to see 30. Like, people sit here and complain about turning 30 all day and all night, and I'm like, y'all, it's a blessing to see 30. There are so many people in this world that do not hit that age. Like, it's really tragic. It's really freaking tragic. But thank you guys so much for watching this video. Oh, by the way, this is an Anya cosplay. I am in Anya cosplay right now. I was only able to really get one video done today, mainly because MomoCon is this week. I'm going to be at MomoCon Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I will have 3 panels. I will have 2 photo shoots, and I'm also going to be working with Shockwave Animation there. So I'm like super duper excited. I will have some stuff on my community tab for anybody who is interested in coming to the panels or wanting to stop by the booth and all of that jazz. And you guys are interested in my book, you still cannot call me sis. It is on the website. We have physical copies and we also have digital copies. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say for this video. If y'all ain't never seen the Golden Girls, please give it a watch. Please give it a watch. It's a cute little laugh and kiki. You might cry in certain episodes, so you have been warned. They talk about death at times too, just as well. But yeah, love you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. And have a great day, night, or whatever time of the day you chose to watch this thing. I'm just thankful that you watched it with the ads on. Alright, thank you. Goodbye.
Now that you see, you should beware of the power of 3. They come to fight as fast as they can. They're dangerous yet fabulous. Because the Utonium made them eschew. They are the colors of pink, green, and blue. They'll catch you in the blink of an eye and do it all before bedtime. They coming through and fighting, and everyone they're shocking. kicking your butt, and Blossom will lead them out of their rut. Cherish and Powerpuff, two of a kind. Both wanna save the world before bedtime. From Townsville, Memphis, New York to LA. The Powerpuff Girls are just some